How you going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be continuing on with the Mini. I'm going to remove the rear chrome trim rings and get them painted. Now, I'm pretty sure you know the deal by now. It's just a case of using the 320, scuffing everything up and getting it prepped for paint. If you look at the difference on the left hand side of the chrome ring, you see how it's all scuffed up. That's the way you want it to be compared to the right hand side here, which is all shiny. So you've got to have it all scuffed up so that the primer can adhere. Continue to do all the chrome rings and get everything ready. Now obviously if you don't have a machine, you can do all this by hand. It's very quick and easy. Now for some wax and grease remover. Microfiber cloth. All I've done there is just put the chrome rings on top of some nuts just to get it off the ground so that I can get right around the edges there properly with the paint. Going to hit it with some 1K edge primer, high build primer, gloss black, and then the top coat clear. As I've mentioned before, it's just a case of doing nice light dust coats to get the desired perfect finish. Pretty much it's 2 coats of edge primer, 5 minutes between each coat. Then I'll just do 1 coat of high build primer, then the black, then the top coat. And you've just got to make sure that you can get right underneath all the corners, all the parts that will be seen. That's why, as I say, I like to lift it off using a couple of nuts. Whatever you've got available that will allow it to lift off the ground. What we'll do now is just give it 24 hours, then give it a light sand with some 800, and then it'll be ready for the gloss black. Okay, it's the next day here, guys, so everything's cured. What I'm going to do now, because obviously I've used the spray cans, I'm just going to lightly wet sand everything with 800, and then it'll be ready for the first coat or base coat. Now you want to apply nice, light, even pressure. You don't want to go too hard, too fast, because you'll end up burning through your primer. Now on the bonnet scoop, I decided to remove the original vinyl stripes because I wanted them to be matching the new stripes that I was going to put on the bonnet. And you've just got to make sure you don't apply the heat for too long in the same place, otherwise you'll end up burning the paint. I decided to clamp down the bonnet scoop in order for me to use the caramel wheel. Now I'm using this caramel wheel just to get rid of the last parts of residue that were left over from the vinyl stripes. This is the VLAN lights here, so I'm going to now get these fitted to the vehicle. They look absolutely gorgeous, the lights. You can see they've came with a mountain of extra wires. I think what I'm actually going to do is obviously I've got to change the washer pumps over on these, but I'm going to actually change these and make these black, I think. I think they might look better, it'll tie in better with the actual blackness of the internal part of the light and the outside. Let me know in the comments if you think I'm doing the right thing, changing that to black. Okay, if you look at yeah, that's just a blank plate. But if you look at the original headlight here, there's a washer pump on this model. So it's just a case of just taking out these two screws, torque screws, and then getting this changed over. I'll get this scuffed up with some 320, and then I'll get the etch primer on it and get this painted black so that it matches the headlight. Now I'll just use a red maroon scuff pad on the edges. Off camera, I painted the bottom grille lip. Need to get these air ducts for the brakes cleaned up and installed, and then obviously get this soundproofing for the bonnet installed. So I'll get the car back up in the air and then get these ducts installed. Basically what I've got to do is get this duct up in here. So it's got to go where that hole is there, and then it connects into this inner wing, the wheel well here. I've just got to put in these clips and then connect up the brake duct there to the inner wheel well. Right, just now for the other side. What I'll do now is just gently lower the hood, the bonnet here, just to make sure. Now it's just a case of moving the headlights left to right, up and down until you get them to the desired place where you want them. Now to install the headlight rings. These headlight rings just push in, and there's little spring retaining clips that hold it onto the bonnet. I think what I need to do is adjust this one at the right hand side, more to the right. And there you go, that's the headlights been adjusted. Everything's centralised. As I said, I don't want to bore you with the details, but all you have to do if you want the headlight to come up, you obviously have to push these in. You turn these clockwise. If you want them to come out anti-clockwise, left or right, you just need to adjust it, vice versa. Height, up and down, you adjust that one there. And then the one at the back, you can move that in and out as well, just to hold it in place. That's the headlights fitted. Everything's all adjusted. Really happy with how it's turned out. All I need to do now is reconnect the battery, and then we'll go for a test. Fingers crossed, they work. Let's go. Now it's just a case of putting the plastic retaining clips from the grille onto the slam panel. I'm still waiting on this washer pump to come so I can get that connected up. It's taking ages. This can only go in one way, this clip. There's two holes there. I definitely think that looks a lot better black than chrome. It came chrome and I decided to make it all black just so everything blended in. And I'm really glad that I done that. That really does look the part now. And I gave the company a call who is going to be putting the car over the pits to do the inspection prior to putting it back on the road. And I let the guy know that I've obviously changed these headlights, but he says you have to make sure that they've got the E number, which is E9 and then 17.5 here. So he says as long as it's got that in the paperwork, then all I'll need to do is just adjust the height, and then that should be it. They should pass. I've made a bit of a boo-boo here. I should have marked this when I had it off the car. I should have marked it and drilled it while I had it off the car, because this is going to be a little bit difficult. What I forgot to mention here was that the bonnet, because it was an older bonnet, it didn't actually have the pre-drilled holes to allow me to fit the cover, the heat shield, and obviously I didn't realise this until I went to fit it. I'm thinking if I drill some small holes and then just use these plastic retainer clips. I was going to use some self-tappers, but I think maybe this will make it look more OEM if I do it this way. If only I'd known that, I would have drilled the holes first, then painted the bonnet. Now I just need to watch the thickness here and I don't go too far through. All I was doing there was just using this step drill and making it the same size as the clips here. A quick polish of the bonnet scoop prior to fitting. So this should just be push fit. And then I've got one retainer screw at the bottom here. As you can see here, I've got a couple of areas that I've had to rub down because I had some runs after the paint job, but I'll take care of them now. Now I'm just going to tape up the areas that I don't want to get damaged by the palm sander. I've went over the bonnet with the palm sander using the 1500, 2000, 3000 and then 5000. As you can see, it's flat now. I've also got to do that with the door here. As I say, I've got some orange peel that I need to get rid of, so I'm just going to flatten it all out. I decided to go for a black badge so it tied in with all the other parts. What I'm doing here is offering up the new vinyl stripes to the bonnet. Now what I done after that was mark everything, centralise everything prior to installing these stripes. The car is now starting to take shape. Look at that. Now I've just been doing some checks on the vehicle prior to getting it taken over the pits and inspected. So there's a couple of things that I've noticed so far. One of them being that the right hand side headlight washer pump is coming out, but there's no water coming out of that. So I'm just hoping, looking at the size of the hose here, it's quite a thick hose. I'm just hoping that it's maybe air in there and there's still water needs to come through, because the actual pump mechanism does come out, and I'm thinking that obviously there's got to be pressure in there to allow that. Yeah, I've just broke that. What an idiot. Right, another thing I've noticed is I wanted to go in here to test the electric fan on the radiator. I noticed that I tried to test the air conditioning yesterday, and I noticed that the air conditioning wasn't coming on. The compressor was clicking in for 5 seconds or so, then clicking back off, and the temperature coming out of the vents inside the car, it was lukewarm. It wasn't cold how it should be. So as I said, I came out here and I went in here, electric fan, pressed active, and I could hear the relay clicking in here. So if you look in here, that relay there is the relay for the fan. But fuse number 8, if you look here, fuse number F8 is for the radiator fan. And when I took that fuse out, I noticed that the fuse had blown. So I'm just hoping that that's maybe happened during the crash, because obviously if it's the fan motor that's faulty, I don't know if you know or not, but it would mean I'd need to pull all the front end off this car again. So I'm hoping and praying that it's just I replace the fuse and this fan's going to work. So we'll do that now. Fingers crossed it works. The last thing I want to do after spending all that time lining this up is to pull all the front end off this car again. So I went out to the local hardware store, car store, and bought some fuses. So that's 40 amp there. And now what I'll do is I'll press active, and then hopefully this cooling fan comes on and the fuse doesn't blow again. that's good. I'm really happy about that. That's one less problem to worry about. So what I'll do now is see what I can do with this headlight washer. I've tightened up the battery terminal just in case that's what was causing it. Maybe it wasn't making a good enough connection for the pump to give out its full power, its full wattage. So I've tightened that up. I've filled up the water reservoir here, filled it up to the brim, and now I'll give it a test. So I'll need to turn the headlights on and then we'll try it again, fingers crossed. Headlights on. What I'll do first of all is I'll get the car up in the air and I'll pull that wheel out and have a look at the pump and the hose assembly. Make sure that I've put everything in and everything's connected properly. I know what I've done now. This piece here should be a Y piece, and I remember that was broken in the accident, and I just put in a T piece there. And what's actually happening is the water is just going straight up here. It's taking the easiest path and not going to the other headlight that way. So I might just, I don't have any Y pieces on me. I might just see if I can turn it around so that it's splitting in the middle.
No.
What I've done is I've just put this T-piece round that way now, so that it should be equal flow going that way and that way. And I've also cleaned out the pump. Let's give it another go. So just a quick recap on this headlight here. Anytime I put the washers on, the headlight washers on, the pump mechanism comes out, but no water actually sprays. So I did notice that one of the clips on the other side wasn't very tight and some of the water was coming out. So I went and bought some clips. I've also got a Y piece, just in case the T piece is causing the issue. I've also got this old sprayer. And hopefully that's going to work, because if it is indeed the pump, obviously this is the broken one. I'll need to order one of them up, so that's going to be another delay. I've also cleaned out the pump at this side in the reservoir. That's all cleaned out now, so hopefully the pump's okay. So this clip just is a push fit. Okay, we'll give it a go now. Let's give it another go just to make sure all the water is getting pumped through the hose here and getting rid of the airlock. I'm happy with that. That's good. The next job was trying to tackle the dents that I had in the rear quarter and also the scratch. In hindsight, I should have just repaired this and painted it at the time, but I honestly thought that I would be able to pull these dents out. The theory is that you put these glue tabs onto the dent and then you pull up, and then what's meant to happen is the dents slowly but surely pull out. I'm definitely going to need more practice at this. As you can see, I've got a dent here. I've tried using this PDR kit, but I'm not the best at it. I don't really have the patience, so I'm just going to put a bit of light body filler in here and then do a little smart repair. Okay, now what I'm going to do is just pull off the rear arch and get the car prepped properly. On closer inspection, I actually found another dent which I had to repair. I decided to use a black primer just to make sure there was not any small dents left over in the bodywork. And then this was covered up by the typical grey primer. And now it's time to mask everything off. I have made a bit of a boo-boo again. So the issue I'm having is when I filled this area with, when I painted this area with the primer, I used a dark coloured primer. I went over it with a light coloured primer, and then when I was sanding it down, obviously I've got this sort of dark ring here. Now I've put 3 coats of the red base coat, and as you can see, the black is still visible. So what I'm going to do now, I thought about maybe putting some white base coat just over this dark spot here. What I'm actually going to do is put some acrylic primer just over these spots here, and then hopefully try and then cover it with the red paint, because as I said, I don't have much red paint left, and the last thing I want to do now is go over all of this again and start again. So hopefully this is going to do the trick and finally get this panel painted. What I'll do is I'll let that dry, let it flash off. I'll put another coat on, and then I'll try with the red base coat again. Now I've gave it 2 wet coats, but I can still see the fine line there. Hopefully I'll be able to get it on this 3rd wet coat. I'm still having issues with this gun. I'm going to have to send away and get some new gaskets for inside it because it's still spraying, it's spitting while it's spraying. But anyway, hopefully another coat and we should be good to go. As you can see, I've managed to get the primer mark away now. That took 3 wet coats. So obviously because I'm painting this car in the shed here, there's a few bits of trash landed in the paint, some dust and what have you. So I'll let this dry out. And what I'll do then is I'll just give it a very light sand with some 1200. And then what I'll do tomorrow is I'll start the 2 or 3 coats of the clear coat, and then hopefully that should be it done. So it looks alright as far as I can see. The other thing I've got to do before I get it put on the pits, I've got to do a self-declaration form just to say that I've done the work myself. I've also got to get the VIN number for any spare parts that I've used, any second-hand parts that I've used. I've got to get the VIN number for that. And also I've got to have a booklet with photos of all the work before, during and after the crash. And then any other receipts, I've got to all have them all filed and logged before I take it over to the guy who's going to do the inspection. Now, once the inspection's done, hopefully it passes, I've then got to take it over the pits, which is a secondary test, which is kind of like the MOT if you're in the UK. So obviously the guy will go around everything, check the brakes, the pressure, the headlights are obviously going to fail because I've put these new headlights in, so he or she will need to adjust the headlight aim. And then pretty much once that's all done, that's all passed, hopefully, I've then got to take it over to the roads department where I'll need to re-register the car. And then after that, they'll ask me how much the car has cost me in total, and then they'll hit me with a tax on top of that. And then I'll register the car, get the registration plates put on it, and then that'll be it on the road. But I'll go through everything at the very end once everything's all done. And I'll show you exactly a cost breakdown to see whether it was worth it or not to buy this accident damaged car. Now I've just had another look at this list here, some of the outstanding jobs. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do the split repair at the bottom. I'm just going to plastic weld that back together, just tidy that up a little bit. The bonnet release cable, what's happening with that is a common mini fault. You pull the bonnet release and the little plastic attachment that's on the cable pulls out. I'll show you in a minute. So I'm going to try and see if I can get that to stay in there without coming out all the time. And then obviously I'm just going to give the car a wash, clean everything inside and out, stamp the service book, and then what I'll do is get the car booked in for its wheel alignment. I've got to get that done first before I can put the car over the pits. So let's start now. As you can see, this splitter here at the bottom of the bumper should look like that. Excuse me. Whereas this one's obviously taking a bit of a hit there. So all I'm going to do is just try and hold that together and then put a couple of pins in there and then plastic weld it. Nobody's going to see it, it's underneath the car anyway, so I'll get that tidied up now. What I've done there is I've just put the mole grips on to hold the two pieces of plastic together. And then what I'll do now, as I say, is I'll get this stitched together. So as I say, I've showed you this before, but all I'm going to be doing is just pulling the trigger, and then this part here, this little staple, just gets hot and melts into the plastic. What I'll do to give it a little bit more strength is I'll put a couple in the back as well. Put another one on the end here. Use this soldering iron and then this plastic welding rod that comes in the kit. Now that I've let that heat up, hopefully it should be warm enough. So what I'll do here is I'll just heat up this side first, get it to start to melt, and then it's a bit more sticky. A little bit on the back, and then that should be us, all good. Once that hardens, I can just give that a quick sand down, and then that'll be perfect. And as you can see, it's really strong now. So what happens every time I go to pull the bonnet release, the hood release, this actually comes right out of here. So that just slots in there, and what happens is over time and age and what have you, it just pops out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably put a cable tie around this. Just be careful I don't cut the cables. Right, that seems to have done the job. Let's see if it works.
Wow!
Bring the car out now and we'll get the interior and the exterior washed. Brought it out into the light just to have a look at it. Now the bonnet's obviously still open, if you're wondering why there's such a big gap there. I've got it off the latch because I'm going to obviously be cleaning the engine. And as you can see, the rear quarter is matching the rear boot lid perfectly. Once I get this all cleaned up, that tyre's looking a little bit flat right enough. Obviously it's covered in dust and what have you. The black rear light rings tie in with the racing stripes, and obviously the black inserts in the rear bumper and the hood. So I'm a little bit undecided whether to change these to black. I don't know whether that'll tie in better. If you look at this Mini here, that's got the black inserts on the wing mirrors, on the door mirrors I should say. I'm really pleased how this car's turned out. Looks absolutely amazing. I actually bought this car for my 17-year-old daughter for her first car, but she doesn't want it because it's a manual. She wants to learn to drive an automatic, so I'll probably end up selling this, or I might just keep it in the garage until the other daughter, a couple of years' time, she'll be ready to drive. There's my boy. Okay, it's time to get this car cleaned out. Let's get the car washed. That's the car all polished up. What I'll do now is I'll take it for a quick drive round about the block and make sure everything's okay and there's no fluids leaking, and then hopefully in the next couple of days I can get the wheel alignment done, as I said, and then get it booked in for the inspection. This is an old sponge. I've had this for a few years and I haven't used it, that's why it's obviously disintegrating. Right, it's now time to go and get the inspections done. This is going to be my first drive out on the road, so fingers crossed everything goes well. Let's go. Right, now that the car's finished, what I'm going to do is break down all the costs associated with the rebuild and see whether it was worth it or not. So the car, I bought that from the auction, so including the fees and the taxes, that was $5,305. Second-hand parts were $700. Then from eBay, parts were $1,518. The BMW parts were $115. The wheel repair, $187. Tyre fitting, $138. The paint, filler and other materials, sandpaper and what have you, $1,050. Wheel alignment, $105. Trailer hire, $121. Miscellaneous, $550. Moving permit, 3 times I had to use that. That was $93 in total. Crash inspection, $300. Pit inspection, after that, $187. And then finally, the registration and tax was $400. So the grand total was $10,769 Australian dollars. The cheapest one that I've found at the moment, these cars are very rare to find over here in Australia. And I saw one similar spec 2012 Roadster, although it's got 142,000 kilometres. This car's only got 42,800 kilometres, and that car that I've seen has been $20,000. So bearing in mind that this is an accident damaged repairable, which is worth 80% of the current value of a car, coupled with the mileage and what have you, I reckon this car that I've got is maybe worth about 19,000. So as you can see, I'm about $8,000 in the green profit if I was to sell this car. As I said before, if I was doing this for a business, I wouldn't have spent so much time trying to repair the door and the bonnet and what have you. I would have bought the panels and then just quickly got the car painted. It might have took me 3 or 4 weeks, for example, just to get the car all done, all completed and out the door. And I would say I would even try and sell the car for maybe 17,000 cash. And as I say, I could have still walked away with about $5,000 for a month or so's work. So there is money to be made, but as I say, it's high risk. I mean, you can buy a car with crazy hidden damage, problems with the transmission, problems with wheel bearings, other things like that that you just don't take into consideration. So there's risk and there's reward there. So I'm going to wrap the video up there, guys, and the mini rebuild series. Thanks very much for watching. And I'll probably, maybe in a couple of months' time, I'll maybe buy another car and do another rebuild. So thanks very much. Take care.